Okay, so meet George. George is a neuropsychologist. He just got a research track position in one of the Israeli universities. As you can see, he's really excited about it. George wants to establish his own independent research lab. And in his lab, he would like to have many experimental rooms to run his participants. He would also like to have big rooms for his undergrads and graduate students where they can sit, analyze data, and discuss science. And he would also want to have different scientific equipment. For instance, maybe a fish lab to explore the evolutionary origin of cognition, or different behavioral methods like a driving simulator, a VR system, or an eye tracking system. And he would also want to explore brain-behavior relations. So he would like some system that can measure brain activity and the influence of brain stimulation on cognition and behavior. Well, George has finished building his own research lab. It's not as big as he dreamed of, but it's nice. He got 2 experimental rooms and a VR system. So, through the years, George became an expert in VR experiments, abandoning his dream to use other scientific equipment. By the way, this is Elaine. Elaine is also a new faculty member at the same university, only from a different department. She's a neurobiologist. So she also got 2 experimental rooms and an eye tracking system. Although both of them work on similar theoretical questions, they don't really know each other because they're from different departments and different faculties. So this short story represents the typical research model, by which each PI, each principal investigator, has his own independent lab and equipment. And this, actually, regardless of how hardworking and dedicated the scientist is, research equipment is rarely being used 24/7. So this leads to underutilization of valuable scientific equipment. In addition, the typical model of different departments and different faculties hinder the ability of researchers that work on similar theoretical questions but from different perspectives to collaborate. Well, this problem is not new. And in 1983, a group of cognitive psychologists from the University of Haifa has decided to reconsider the research model. And they took one of the Israeli most innovative inventions and created a research kibbutz. They took from the kibbutz 2 main aspects. First, sharing resources, in this case, space and equipment. So the students will sit together, and the scientific equipment available to each of the PI will also be available to all other PIs in the group. The second aspect is that in the kibbutz, everybody knows what everybody's doing. So in a personal level, that might be a bit problematic, but for science, that's actually great. And they decided to share knowledge, methods, and ideas. And they created or established the Institute of Information Processing and Decision Making, the IIPDM, which studied the mysteries of the human mind. And how does it work? So I'm Professor Shai Gabay. I'm the current head of the IIPDM, and these are the 13 PIs who are all part of our research institute. And just recently, I started a collaboration with Professor Tali Bitan on brain plasticity. Professor Bitan is an expert in brain injury and rehabilitation. We thought that this issue might also be relevant to elderly populations. So we asked Dr. Nir Shaleb to join us from the Grantology department. So he's from a different department and a different faculty. We also asked Dr. Avi Mendelssohn from the neurobiology department, again, a different department, a different faculty, who is an expert on brain imaging. We thought that this might also be relevant to child development, so we asked Professor Nomi Chevron to join us, and also Dr. Uri Hertz from the Cognitive Sciences department. So this is just one example of a collaborative effort that wouldn't happen without the unique structure of the IIPDM. There are many other different collaborations within our institutes and with other researchers in the university and around Israel and around the world. But our community is not restricted to the 30 PIs, because each PI has his own research team, his undergrads and graduate students. So with over 100 students in our research community, our institute is an ideal place to learn science and to train the next generation of Israeli scientists, with a strong emphasis on interdisciplinary research. By the way, the dream that George had about its lab, that's actually the IIPDM. And if George had joined the IIPDM, He would not only have all the facilities, George will also have a research community. Thank you very much.